The end of the year is almost here, and it's time to look back on my top 10 running shoes of 2023. Before we start talking about shoes, let me define what I'm going to call a model year. I'm going to use November 1st to November 1st because the shoes that come out in November, December are really giving a preview of what's going to come out the next model year, or they're shoes that are intended for a lot of easy running, base mileage building. I think a really good example of this is the current Asics Nova Blast 4. That is a shoe that I think is giving a lot of insight and showing what Asics will be releasing in 2024. Additionally, it's a shoe intended for a lot of easy running, base mileage building over the winter off season. So for the purposes of this video and this channel moving forward, that's the definition of a model year that I'm going to use. And starting us off at number 10 is the Adidas Adios Pro 3. Now, this was a 2022 shoe, yes, but this was Adidas's current 2023 marathon racer. And I think it's a shoe that I've always loved. I love this midsole. I love this outsole. Even with this completely dismal upper, which is horrible, I still love this shoe. That's how good the midsole and the outsole is in this shoe. So hopefully we're going to see an update to this in the oncoming year, but for the purposes of 2023, this shoe was still very relevant, and it's one of two shoes on this list that made me never bother with the Boston 12, because as long as this shoe exists, this is the better tempo trainer. This is the one that I want to take for long runs. I really love this shoe. I just wish the upper wasn't as bad as it is. And in number 9, we have the Nike Vomero 17. Now, this shoe we first saw back in March of the year, and it took Nike about 7 months to get this one to market. But when they finally did, we were rewarded with a shoe that kind of proved something I had thought, but it really showed in this shoe. ZoomX, as great as a foam as it is, really needs something else with it, whether that's a carbon plate, a carrier foam, or a midfoot shank of some sort. This shoe uses ZoomX for that pillowy step-in feel, which is quintessential Vomero, but it uses Cushionline 3.0 for the majority of what you're actually running on. So while this has the softness and the sink of ZoomX, it doesn't run like a ZoomX shoe. This shoe encourages you to go slow, easy running, and frankly, that's really what I want out of a max stack shoe like this. Now, this shoe has a little bit too much foam in it for me to call it a daily trainer, but tomato, tomato. What I'm going to call a daily trainer, you may not. And in number 8, we have the Adidas Takumi Sen 9. Now, I think if you watched any of the videos I did on this shoe this year, you probably have the impression that I really dislike this shoe. Couldn't be further from the truth. I think this shoe is actually a brilliant, stripped down, hardcore 5K racer. In fact, I don't think there's a better 5K racer than the Takumi Sen 9. But that's kind of my problem with it. As a marathoner, I don't really need that shoe. And this shoe is so stripped down, it's so harsh to run in, that I also don't think it's a good trainer. There's other options out there that are better trainers. But as a shoe, as a piece of design, this shoe is brilliant. It's beautiful. I think it's refined. It's got a great upper. It's very simple. I just wish it fit a little better for training. But then again, as a race shoe, I'm okay with a really extreme race fit, which this shoe definitely has. And in spot number 7, the Nike Ultrafly. Now, this is a shoe I haven't talked about on this channel yet. I've actually had it for a while, but it's taken me this much time to get to it. Now, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in this shoe. There's no new tech. This is all very much Nike tech, but I think the way they implemented it in this shoe is really interesting, and I think there's implications for the entire Nike running line, not just trail shoes, but road shoes as well. I also think Nike did a brilliant job designing this shoe for what they intended it to be, which is a shoe to race the Western States 100. This is a shoe for 100-mile ultramarathons in very specific conditions, generally dusty, smooth, fire roads with a lot of climbing and even more descending across the Western States course. This shoe is optimized for that exceptionally well. I think a lot of people expected this to be a Vaporfly with lugs. it couldn't be further from the truth. This is more like an invincible race version with some lugs. My general impressions video will be coming out about this shoe fairly soon, so stick around if you want to see that. But this shoe I find quite interesting. It's fun to run in. It's just not the best shoe for me with the terrain that I have to run on here in Taipei. And in spot number 6, we have the Asics Magic Speed 3. Now, I fell in love with this shoe really from the first run, and it's really a combination of two things. To my feet, Asics uses extremely stiff, overly stiff carbon fiber plates. And FF Blast Plus is a little too squishy for my liking. But you put those two together and you get an amazing ride. The two work together. The FF Blast Plus foam softens out the extremely stiff Asics carbon fiber plate, and you get probably the best tempo trainer that's existed since the original Nike Zoomfly. This is the tempo trainer choice for me, and this is a shoe that I think would beat the Adidas Takumi Sen 9 for really any sort of training purposes, though the Takumi Sen 9 is going to be the faster race shoe than this. Moving into the top 5, in spot number 5 is the Nike Pegasus 40. Now, this shoe is not much different from the Peg 39, and the Peg 39 came out in 2022. Same midsole, same outsole, but the upper on this shoe is really the change from the 39 to the 40. And this upper, I think, is probably Nike's second best upper of the year. It is accommodating, it is breathable, it conforms to the foot. The lockdown in this shoe is exceptional. I think the upper alone makes the peg the best peg that we've seen in some time. Now, this is typically the shoe that I spend most of the time in this year. It wasn't this year. We'll get to that shoe. But this is the shoe that I compare every other shoe back to. This is the default shoe to me, and to be a decent daily trainer, or frankly any other type of running shoe, you need to compare to this shoe at some level. And coming in spot number 4 is the Asics Super Blast. Now, I think everyone seemingly fell in love with this shoe in 2023. Technically, it came out at the end of 2022, a little bit before my November 1st cutoff, but again, this shoe really came into its own in 2023. And what can I say that hasn't been said about this shoe? It's exceptional. I look at this shoe as truly a super shoe. I'm going to call this a super shoe because that's what it is. And I think this is probably Asics' best running shoe, period. I think it's the best use of FF Turbo because FF Turbo is firm enough and it's lively enough that it doesn't need the carbon fiber plate. In fact, FF Turbo with a carbon fiber plate, especially the stiff Asics carbon fiber plate, is too stiff, too harsh. But just FF Turbo with a little FF Blast Plus to smooth out some of the harshness becomes an exceptional shoe. Now, with the Nova Blast 4 being a lot of the feel of the Super Blast, I'm really curious where Asics takes this in the next version. And I hope it really, truly becomes the super shoe that it really should be. Now, getting in the top 3, in number 3 is the normal Shirag. Now, this shoe technically also released in 2022, but it was really commonly available in 2023. This shoe took me a long time to track down because I needed to get the sizing right in this shoe. But once I did, it just began to change how I look at running shoes. I wish I would have had this shoe 6 months ago. It's that good. The story of this shoe is as much what is not here as to what is here. This is a study in minimalism and really picking the exact right materials for the intended purpose. Running in this shoe has, again, been a bit of a revelation for me, and it's quickly becoming my favorite running shoe, not just trail shoe, running shoe of all time. It is that good. And in the second spot, we have the Adidas Adios 8. Now, I jumped on this shoe as soon as it came out last June, did my initial impressions video, did some comparison videos on this shoe, and really enjoyed running in the shoe. But as the summer went on, I just kind of stopped running it. It kind of fell away for various reasons. But recently, about a month ago, I came back to this shoe and I realized how much I love running in this shoe. And it made me question, like, why did I stop running in this shoe in the first place? I think this is Adidas's best shoe of 2023. Yes, even better than the Evo 1. because the redesign they did for 2023 is exceptional. The amount of Lightstrike Pro in the forefoot of this shoe, this amazing outsole, this simple upper, the wider last. This is just truly a workhorse shoe from Adidas. It is a daily trainer. It's a speed shoe. It's a workout shoe. This shoe is extremely versatile, and this is the shoe that stopped me from ever bothering to buy the Boston 12 because I think this shoe's better, it's more versatile, and I enjoy running in it much, much more. Now, there is a big redesign coming for this shoe in 2024 with the Adios 9, and everything that I would change in this model is changing in the way I would change it. So I think as excited as I am about the Adios 8, the Adios 9 is really going to reset my expectations as to how good the Adios series can actually be. And coming in at number 1, which if you've watched my channel at all this year, should not be coming as a surprise, is the Nike Vaporfly 3. Now, I have said a lot about this shoe because I've made a lot of content about this shoe. But this shoe is outstanding for my foot. This is by far the best Vaporfly I've ever run in. And I've spent a lot of time in all the Vaporflies. This is the shoe that I've spent the most time in this year. I have about 700 kilometers, a little bit over 700 kilometers in 3 pairs of these. I've used them for everything: racing, training, tempo training, speed workouts, easy running. This shoe does everything, and it's done it exceptionally well. The combination of Nike's flexible carbon fiber plate, yes, I think Nike's plates, carbon fiber plates, are flexible, and I think that's part of the magic of them, combined with the beautiful ZoomX foam, is exceptional. While the Vaporfly maybe isn't quite as dominant in 2023 as it's been in the past, for my feet, this is the best mix of really everything that I ever wanted the Vaporfly to be. I love the midsole. I love the molding of the midsole. This forefoot rubber patch and the waffles on this shoe. I'm so happy to be racing in a Nike shoe with waffles again. I love this outsole. The upper. For my foot, which is not wide, which is not narrow, but is high volume, this upper is the perfect fit. I have not had any foot trauma, trouble, lace bite, toe damage, rubbing, Achilles issues. I've had no problems with this upper. It fits my foot perfectly. And I know I'm kind of lucky there because I know a lot of people have had issues with this upper. But for my foot, this is the best upper that Nike has put out in some time. And it is the best upper of the year for Nike. Again, what can I say about this shoe? I raced the New York City Marathon in this pair. That wasn't my day, but the problem wasn't the shoe. It was me. This shoe is just exceptional, and I am looking forward to the future of the Vaporfly because the Vaporfly 3 has been second to none. So there you go, my top 10 running shoes of 2023. Now, I think my list is probably a little different than the normal top 5 or top 10 list that you're going to see out there from the rest of ShoeTube or Run YouTube, but I also think I have different tastes than a lot of the space. I still prefer lower stack, more traditional geometry, neutral, flexible shoes. And there are a few of them on this list. But I like the new tech. I don't have a problem with max stack shoes and rockered shoes. But what I want is options. And in 2023, we have had a lot of great options. Now, a lot of the shoes on this list are going to get substantial updates in 2024. And I'm really curious to see how that impacts how I feel about some of these shoes. Now, I'm going to come back and make this same video a year from now, and I'm very curious how many of these shoes will still be on the list next year. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you like this content, consider subscribing. You'll see more content from me pop up in your feed. If not, drop a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.